In today's set review, we're gonna be taking a look at set number 75449, Siege of Mandalore Battle Pack. The set is part of the January 2026 wave, which is 6 years after Season 7 of the Clone Wars came out, so way too late in my opinion, but it at least brings back a couple of figures which people wanted to see in a battle pack for a long time. Overall, it includes 4 minifigs total, 116 pieces, and retails for recommended retail price of roughly $23 and 20 euros. Taking a look at the front of the box art, we see the standard orange stripe with some background scenes from Mandalore like we see it in the Clone Wars, and on the bottom right there is the minifig lineup. The backside is very similar, with the Mandalore being the background, the builds are in different angles and we can see some of the play features. When opening the set, you're gonna find a total of 3 unnumbered bags, your typical instruction manual and 3 extra pieces. The building process doesn't take all too long, but before we take a look at the builds, let's see how good those minifigs are, which, let's be honest, is probably the only reason why you may want to buy this set. Starting off with the boring side of figures, we have 2 identical 332nd Clone Troopers like we already have seen them in the 332nd Clone Trooper Battle Pack, which raises the question why LEGO once again included them in here, and I guess they did so you would have to buy more of the set to get the actual figures you want more of. The clones have the same printed details on helmet, torso and legs, they come with the standard face print, and of course, since they are modern releases, they come with the helmet holes, which I personally don't really care about, but it's still worth mentioning. Switching over to the more desirable figures, we have 2 Mandalorian Super Commandos, one of which is female and the other one is male. Starting off with the male trooper, he has some pretty awesome printing on torso, hips, legs and feet. He also comes with this pretty simple yet awesome shield which they use in the TV show. It's just a transclear dish attached to a handle which the trooper can hold in his hand, but it looks super freaking cool and is a very welcome addition to the set. The female trooper has some different printing on the helmet as well as different details on torso and legs which all look amazing. The only thing I don't understand is why LEGO suddenly decided to make the visor silver on both figures. As you can see, in comparison to the older trooper from 2013, the visors aren't black anymore, which was way more accurate to how they look in the Clone Wars. Most of them look black and the ones that do appear silver are just the ones where the sun shines on them, so I don't know where LEGO got this idea from, but it's just not the accurate color, which is really disappointing after we had to wait over 10 years for a remake of them. Besides that, I think the new troopers are a very welcome upgrade, and they also have unique faces instead of the standard angry clone faces which the old ones had. And of course, the most noticeable difference is the leg printing, which was desperately needed. It's overall a solid minifig selection, but in my opinion we really should have only gotten Mandos in this set instead of the clones. Maybe some blue ones, but yeah, just not the clones again. And most importantly, the visors shouldn't have been silver, which is pretty inaccurate and looks very weird. In combination with some older troopers, they still look great, and this is obviously the best way to army build them for a reasonable price, but these inaccuracies are still just very disappointing. But now finally taking a look at the builds, I have to admit that I actually quite enjoy them and think that you can even display them if you choose so. The first build is this barricade for the clones. You have this fence piece which you can technically adjust, but this is more due to the building technique. You can kinda store a blaster from the clones here, but I don't know if this is the intended purpose for this thing. And now you can attach the clone to the handle of the gun and he can maneuver it. It is a stud shooter, so of course you can fire it at the Super Commandos and you can also move it up and down. There is also still a spot for the second trooper, so you can take some cover as well. It's not the most beautiful build, but for a battle pack build it's quite solid and also very fun to play with. The second one is definitely my favorite. This is a Mandalorian speeder and honestly this model looks really sleek and I did not expect this. There's some awesome shaping with the slow pieces on the side, a nice small windshield piece, and there are some thrusters on the back which you can adjust up and down if you want to. The front is easily the worst part of this build, as it is just the bottom of a plate which looks pretty unfinished and in general creates a hole at the front which does not look that great. On the back there is a stud shooter cannon which is on a ball joint, so you can very freely move it up and down and side to side. You can easily attach the Mandalorian to the cannon so he can operate it. He kind of dangles in the air in most positions, which is a little annoying, and you can of course fire the stud shooter at the enemies. There is a seating spot for the driver as well, which thankfully is 3 studs long, so you don't have to remove the jetpack, which is neat. You're also gonna find a printed control piece, which is just the standard one, and it's pretty easy to put the driver in there, which is nice. Sadly, there's no real options to store the blasters. I guess you should store them in this crate, but it still feels really out of place here as it's not attached to anything, but I guess this is the best option you have. Once again, I have to admit that I think the builds are relatively good, especially for a battle pack build. The speeder uses some nice building techniques to create some nice shapes, and overall, once again, it looks pretty sleek. The price of the set is still an issue though. I don't think that it should cost more than $20 and 23 is pushing it a bit. It said if it's overpriced, the clones shouldn't be in here since they already had their own set and the visors should be black instead of silver. I think if the set had 4 Mandalorian Super Commandos, or at least 4 Mandos, with the correct visor and would only cost $20, it would be a near flawless set for me, but what we actually got is at least partially disappointing. But now feel free to let me know what y'all think about the set in the comments down below. Do you plan on army building some Mandos, or is the Clone Wars hype already over for you? I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, I would very much appreciate a like to support the channel. And if you want to check out some of my other videos, you can see me on screen right now.